Hey, Brooke here. Most people quietly assume that by a certain point in their life, something will click. Not dramatically, not all at once, just a subtle shift where things begin to feel stable, certain, like you finally understand what you're doing. But if you pause for a second and look around, you'll realize that no one feels that way. There's this strange shared experience where you reach an age that you once thought of as grown, and instead of clarity, you find something else entirely. Uncertainty, hesitation, a low, persistent sense that you're somehow behind. Part of this starts much earlier than we think. When we're younger, we build quiet timelines in our heads, not intentionally, but through observation. You see adults with jobs, routines, families. You absorb phrases like, "when I grow up," as if adulthood is a destination rather than a process. Psychologist Daniel Levinson described life as unfolding in structured seasons, with the expectation that by certain stages, we begin to settle into stable roles and identities. But those expectations were shaped in a very different time, a time with more predictable careers, more linear paths, fewer options, and fewer decisions. Today, that structure has quietly dissolved, but the expectation still remains. So you grow up and the timeline doesn't happen. Or it does, but it doesn't feel like you thought it would. You get the job but still feel unsure. You reach the milestone but you still feel unclear. You make progress, but it feels invisible, like you're moving without ever arriving. And that gap between how you expect it to feel and how you actually feel is where the sense of feeling behind begins to take hold. There's a concept in psychology called social comparison theory, introduced by Leon Festinger. It suggests that we determine how we're doing by comparing ourselves to others. That made sense when your others were limited, your classmates, your neighbors, a small visible circle. But now, because of the digital age, you're not only comparing yourself to your peers, you're comparing your life to millions of people at once. People your age buying houses, starting businesses, traveling, achieving things at different speeds and in completely different areas. People whose lives are usually heavily fabricated. So your mind does something subtle but powerful. It compresses all of that into a single impossible standard. Not a few people's lives, but the highlight reel of everyone's life combined. Of course you feel behind. You're comparing your life to a timeline that doesn't exist. But even beyond comparison, there's something we don't talk about enough. Invisible progress. You don't feel yourself becoming more resilient, more capable, or aware. Those changes happen gradually, beneath your attention. Just like how you don't notice yourself aging until you look at an old picture. It happens every day, so we don't notice it. But what you do feel every day is uncertainty, because growth often feels like confusion when it's happening. It feels like not knowing, like questioning, like feeling like an in-between version of yourself. So ironically, the feeling that makes you feel like you're behind is often the clearest sign that you're actually changing and growing. And truthfully, we're always in that in-between version of ourselves. We're constantly evolving. We all live in a constant state of confusion. If you zoom out far enough, the people you assume have it all figured out are often just better at appearing certain, or they've committed to a path not because they're completely sure, but because at some point they chose something and kept going. Not clarity first and then action, but action first and then clarity. So, what if the expectation itself isn't the problem? Not because you're behind, but because you were taught that at some point in your life, you wouldn't feel this way. When in reality, that feeling doesn't disappear. It just transforms. Liked what your weird brain just learned? Hit subscribe. If not, that's okay. I know you're just evolving. You'll come around eventually.